Hey guys, how's it going? Kevin Cleary here along with my son Joel Cleary, and we're going to tell you about
Kershaw Camp 18.
That's right, the Kershaw Camp 18. Now just a little bit of introduction here. There's also a Kershaw, can you step back a little bit, buddy? Only your chin is on the camera. There we go. There's also a Kershaw, there's also a Kershaw Camp 10, a Kershaw Camp 14, and then this is the largest, the Kershaw Camp 18. And since Joel likes to check out the blades that are almost sword size, and we kind of have fun messing with these together, he's going to help us out with this video. And as you can see, it truly is the size of a sword if you're 7 years old. Actually, you're almost 8 years old. So very quickly, Joel, can you show us a bit of a close-up of the machete there? Angle this down a bit so it's all in camera. There we go. So put the point kind of right about here. Good. Okay, so this is 24 inches overall. The blade is 18 inches, which is where the name comes from. It does come with a polymer sheath, and we'll talk about the sheath when we get a little further on in the video. But for now, let's have Joel show you a little bit of how this thing works if you do some chopping with it. I want you to be able to see how nicely this slices into material. So Joel's not a super big guy, and yet he can get some nice slices right into this piece of wood if you check it out. Yeah, so notice how deeply, once you get it, there you go. Notice how deeply that cut in. On your next one, buddy, just do a big cut, there you go, and then leave it in place. Do one more, and then I'll zoom in on the cut for a second. Oh, other way so it's easier to see on camera. That way, yep. Perfect, here we go. All right, now let me just zoom in there for 1 second. You see how deeply that cut in? Go ahead and do it one more time. Perfect. So the nice thing about this is that it's really tough, really durable, and yet the grind on this is thin enough that you can actually slice pretty nicely. And so
two cuts with it, close to each other, but not literally right beside. There's a little chip that will come out.
Perfect. All right, buddy, why don't you trade me places for 1 second, and I'll come in there and do a couple of chops as well. I won't zoom in on these guys. I'll just try to give you a sense on how this thing works. So I'm going to stand on the opposite side and just do a little bit of chopping on this piece of, you know, sort of deadish wood.
Dad, there's a problem.
What's that?
You can't see your face.
That's okay. As long as they can see the knife in action, that's what really matters. I will say this, the handle is comfortable, and the shape does mean that I don't get, whoops, kind of glanced out of there. That's what I get for talking and chopping. But the handle is comfortable enough that, let's switch places again, pal. There we go. The handle is comfortable enough that I don't get a lot of bounce back into my hand. You probably, you know, if you don't know what I mean by that, if you've ever hit a ball and held the bat wrong, or it really hit anything with anything, you know, sometimes you'll get a really harsh impact into your hands. Not so with this. The other thing is, how is it for grip?
It's good because it's got this rubber scaly material, unlike the last machete we did.
Yeah, perfect. So it has, if you look here,
and it's like a dragon scale.
I'm going to hold the blade for a second so you can see the handle really good, pal.
And it's kind of like a dragon scale.
Yeah, it is. So you can see the polymer here, that's the gray, but then it's all covered with this rubberized coating, which actually makes it quite grippy.
And here it's different, because right here it's like little triangles, and right here it's lines.
Perfect. Okay. I'll get you to step back a bit, buddy, and we'll keep going with our video. So we've talked about the blade. The blade is a good combination. Oh, the one thing we should have shown you, bring it back up here, pal, and we'll put it on a bit of an angle so that they can see how thick the steel is at the back. Okay, let's bring this right up. There we go. So if you take a look, the stock on this blade is nearly 1/4 of an inch thick. So we've got a good heavy stock. Now, in terms of use, you can go ahead and keep chopping or swinging it around a little bit. In terms of use, it works pretty well because of the fact that you've got a really well balanced blade here. It's thick and strong, but it's also thin enough that it slices well. Okay, so when I say slices well, that gives you the extra utility. Hold on, maybe I've got to go up there. Can you get it, pal? Here, don't pull it back, that's why. You're worthy enough. Okay, sorry guys. So now that we've done a little bit of chopping here for you, I want to talk about the utility of this, and we'll talk more about this at the end when we talk about, you know, who can use this and for what purpose. There we go. So the blade does work well as a chopper. The blade stock is thick enough that you can do some batoning with this, although I wouldn't let the length of the blade be the thing that determines how big a piece of material you want to chop with. You want to baton through. Probably wouldn't want to go much more than 3 inches, and even 3 inches I really don't like to baton through. And especially if it goes anything beyond 3 inches, it's time to start getting out an axe or some kind of splitting tool. Anyway, in addition to being good at chopping and batoning and therefore processing some wood, it also works quite well, and I'll try to get some footage of this on the way out of here. It works quite well for the role of a machete, you know, chopping through, or, you know, bushwhacking through tall grass and stuff like that. It works pretty well in that role as well, with the only qualification being that it doesn't, let's say this, it's just a little heavy. So on a long walk where you're cutting a lot of grass out of your path, yeah, it's going to get a little bit tiring. All right, that's about the only thing I would say about it. Now, Joel, can you grab the sheath and show us it going in and out of the sheath, and we'll tell them about the sheath a little bit? All right, bring it on camera though. Okay. So we've got the sheath here, and I would say the sheath is good, but it's got to come down just a bit. Joel, so people can see. Okay, I would say the sheath is good, but not amazing. It gets its retention not from how tight it is on the blade. In fact, it's pretty loose on the blade. If I get Joel to shake that a little bit, you can see. There you go. You can hear that rattle, and there's rattle in all directions. So even if you just shake it side to side, up and down, it's going to rattle a little bit. The way it holds in the sheath, show them the little strap, buddy, is by this strap. Go down. You're not on camera. There we go. Hold on. I'll come up a little bit. There we go. Perfect. And you can see how that strap wraps around the blade. That's what is retaining the machete in the sheath. All right. And so because of that, they don't need the sheath to be super tight, and it isn't. So you are going to get some rattling with this. Otherwise, though, in terms of how the sheath attaches, show them all the straps, pal. So you can see there's the Velcro straps on the back for Velcroing this to a pack. There's the strap at the top that he's working on now that you could use to hang this off of your belt. But then there's also, yeah, there's the second strap. There's also the little slits and little eyelets. Show them the little holes, so that you could tie this to your pack with some paracord or something like that. So I actually think this sheath is pretty good. Remember, this is not a super expensive tool, and for the price you pay, which I think is around $70, I guess probably more like 50 US, you actually are getting a very, very capable sheath for this tool. I have no big complaints about that.
And the handle for this says whatever this is, and the scabbard, whatever this is called, says this, and they're supposed to say the exact same thing.
Yeah, they both say Kershaw. Okay, so Joel, the last thing I want to do is do a quick comparison. So I did bring the Becker BK9 out here. So the BK9 is a large survival style knife, and one that is pretty common. So I would suspect that most of you watching have seen a BK9 before. And so if Joel holds these side by side so you can see them both on camera, turn them to the side, buddy. There you go. So that gives you an idea of how big the Kershaw Camp 18 is. It is a very large, heavy duty chopper style machete. Quite useful in the bush, or of course if zombies attack or something like that.
Zombies? Why would they attack?
I know, that's
They're not
just
real.
You're right, they're not
Unless
real.
we're playing Walking Dead.
That's right. Okay, so you can kind of get a good idea for size comparison on this. Now, the last discussion I want to have with you is
The reason
should...
this is clean and this is clean and this is a bit dirty because Dad's blown this on much more camping sites and we got a little bit rusty and dirty. But this one we haven't blown on that many camping trips.
That's right.
It's not that dirty.
So let's finish off by asking, should you go out and buy one of these? And the simple answer to that is, or I mean, the main question you have to answer in regards to that is, what are you trying to do with it? Okay, this tool lands, you can put the small one down, buddy, since we're just talking about the big one now. This tool lands somewhere in between a hatchet and a machete. And it sort of, tries to balance out the work of both of those. And so you have to ask yourself that question, would just a regular machete do a better job of what I'm trying to do? Or would a hatchet do a better job of what I'm trying to do?
Well, if you can't decide, just get this.
There you go. And if you can't decide, and if you really are in a situation where you can see yourself using both.
And a hatchet, if you're going to be cutting something and handling something in the forest or something or wherever, or survival or something, you should bring your hatchet. Always remember your hatchet, just in case you're like building something. If you forget your hammer and you got a hatchet, doesn't matter. You can use hatchets to hammer things down too. They can cut things and hammer things.
Yeah, that's right.
So we did that camping.
So Joel's reminding you that a hatchet has that extra utility of serving as a hammer, and this can't really do that. Now, of course, the hatchet...
It's thick, but it's not thick enough.
That's right. Where this is going to shine is it's going to baton a little bit easier, of course, than many other knives because of its length. It's going to have that capacity to do some brush clearing and stuff like that if that's something you need. So that's where it lands. The other thing is the value on this is quite good. And so for a reasonable price, you're getting a tool that really can take a beating. And I've done quite a bit of chopping with this, a bit of batoning with it, and it's still just fine. As you can see, I haven't even marked up the coating yet, even though I've done a bit of batoning with it. Now Joel's got it stuck in the log. So let's just leave it stuck in the log and I'll zoom in while I do the end of the video.
I'm not worthy.
There you go. Okay, ready? Okay, so I'm going to zoom in on this guy just a little to finish us off here and give you this as sort of our finishing shot. Forgive my shoddy camera work. There we go. So there is the Kershaw Camp 18 in its native environment, chopping into a log out in the forest. It is a very capable tool for that. As I say, if you've kind of thought through the little process that I gave you there, if this is something you can use, then I think it's a real win. At the end, Joel wants to say something. Before he does, though, I want to remind you to like and subscribe. Let me zoom out so that he can come around and talk to you or do you want to talk from back here?
I want to talk from back here.
Okay, that's fine too.
And let's get this video to 1 million likes.
1 million likes. If I got 1 million likes on one of my videos, the world would cease to rotate on its axis. I don't know what would happen there. Anyway, thanks a lot, guys, for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video, and we will talk to you soon.
Make sure to like and subscribe.
All right, see you later.
Recording. So as you can see, guys, if you haven't checked out our last video, we were testing our machete. We were showing you all about it. And we said we would show you sorry guys.
Sorry, buddy.
We were on the way back. It was like these bushes. We would show you cutting them down. So yeah.
There you go.
This is super dangerous. So never do this because I accidentally got flinged in the face by one and I was shocked. So say bye.
Okay, bye.
Bye. Let's get this video to 1 million likes. And we're going to jump off a waterfall.